I would like to invite Mr. Ezra Miller, elected member for the District of Northside, to bring his remarks.
Protocol haven't been established. Thank you. I can promise you that mine wasn't going to be half that length. Good evening, everyone. Let me first add my welcome and thanks for all who took the time from their busy schedule to attend this very important function that will provide lasting and enduring respect and honor to the Honorable Mistress Edna M. Moyle, JP. I thank the PPM government for their decision to honor Miss Edna, or Aid, as we knew her, by naming the Northside Primary School the Honorable Mistress Edna M. Moyle, JP Primary School. This is particularly gratifying as we, the residents of Northside, are well aware of Miss Edna's concern, care, and dedication to the school. She left no stone unturned in endeavoring to address and fulfill the needs of the teachers and students of the school. Ms. Edna, who served as elected representative for Northside from 1992 until 2009, making her the second longest serving representative for this district and the first to be chosen by her peers to be elevated to that honorable and lofty position of Speaker. I trust that in naming the school in her honor, her PPM members who now form the government and will do so for at least the next 3 years will find it possible to support the school in its continued development and resource it properly, including the necessary budgetary provisions, policy directives, and administrative decisions. I challenge the PPM government to let us work with the family, the teachers, the students, the parents, and the community to make the Edna M. Moyle Primary School the best one in the Cayman Islands. Such an achievement would be the way to properly honor her. Once again, let me congratulate her family for accepting this honor, the PPM government for bestowing this honor, and Ms. Edna for so deliberately and diligently earning this honor through her life's work and dedication to this district, and in particular, the children of Northside and the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I would like to invite the Premier, Honorable Alden McLaughlin, to bring his remarks.
Thank you, Miss Jessie. You make a wonderful master or mistress of ceremonies. You are far more confident than many masters or mistresses of ceremonies that I have witnessed in recent times. Very well done. Good evening, everyone. I can't begin to say how honored I am to be here this evening to participate in this very important ceremony to rename the Northside Primary School after the Honorable Edna Moyle. I want to pay tribute to her, and I want to say to her children who are here that you had, I know you know this, but you had a wonderful mother and one who cared very deeply not just about you, but about the people of the Cayman Islands, but particularly the underprivileged, the vulnerable, children and women. And this honor that is being bestowed this evening is, I believe, most worthy. I have never really called her anything else but Miss Edna, and I want you to forgive me this evening if that's what I call her, although we all know her official title is the Honorable Edna M. Moyle. But Miss Edna was a true stateswoman in the Cayman Islands. And I want to speak briefly about her contributions to the Cayman Islands government and to the country and to Northside. But first I must tell you that to me personally, Ms. Edna was more than an important political or social presence in our beloved country. She was an unwavering part of our party, the PPM, or the Progressives as we call it now, a mentor, and above all, a friend whose presence I miss greatly. She left her earthly home on election eve last year, 21st of May, almost a year to the date today. Her first foray into public service began in 1966 when she held a range of jobs including that of personal secretary to the then administrator, John A. Cumber, as well as working as deputy clerk of the Legislative Assembly. There is an image of a young Edna in that role which remains enshrined in a photograph that hangs in the main committee room of the Legislative Assembly. She left public sector work in 1979 and returned to the private sector. But just as the sea gets in the blood of a seaman, so did the lure of service to country for Miss Edna. People in this district approached her about seeking office, and she did so for the first time in 1984, unsuccessfully. She was elected a member for Northside on her third attempt in 1992 and remained a member of the Legislative Assembly until May of 2009 when she retired. She also served as the Deputy Speaker for 8 years before becoming the Minister of Community Development, Sports, Women's Affairs, and Youth, all concerns that were dear to her heart. In May of 2005, as Mr. Miller said, she was elected Speaker of the House, a post which she held until her retirement. As Speaker, Ms. Edna ran a tight ship, maintaining the dignity and decorum of the Legislative Assembly, even in the heat of debate, applying House rules fairly and impartially, and upholding minority rights and views despite being a staunch member of the ruling party. She took to the role her tremendous personal flair and concern for the people of these islands. Because of her vast contributions to politics in the Cayman Islands, she was made an officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, the OBE, in 2009. One of her major causes to champion was the rights of women in the Cayman Islands. She believed in her heart, and rightfully so, that it was her duty to place women's issues on the national agenda. One of her first actions was a call to end discrimination against women in the civil service in many respects, including the denial of maternity leave. Through her guidance, a Women's Affairs Office was established, as was the Legal Befrienders Clinic. That clinic still exists and has grown from offering free legal advice only to women to giving advice to families. If it had not been for her vision, there would be many in our countries whose families would be in dire circumstances today. She moved a motion in the House that ultimately led to the establishment of the Women's Resource Center, which is now called the Family Resource Center, and is now, I'm happy to say, under my Ministry of Community Affairs. I am humbled and honored to be able to continue some of Ms. Edna's work. She also saw a need in the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service for a separate family support unit where more sensitive family issues could be handled away from the police department. Government accepted her motion, and that unit is still helping families today. We can also thank her for government's ongoing collection of gender-based statistics, the introduction of curriculum education on sex and contraception for teens, the placement of domestic violence on Cayman's public agenda, and addressing the inadequacies of sentencing the courts were imposing for crimes against women. There are many, many women and children in the Cayman Islands who can thank Mrs. Moyle for her foresight in seconding the private member's motion calling for a safe house for battered women and their children. She saw that through landmark domestic violence legislation, there had become an increase in reported domestic abuse incidents. Government once again accepted the motion, and the Cayman Crisis Center, which is still helping countless families, was born. Here in Northside, her mark can be seen all around us. She worked tirelessly to see that this district got its own library. She also had a hand in the Civic Center, the Health Center, the police station, and a community park. She also worked to set up netball and basketball courts and to see that the Old Man Bay playfield was finally completed. She also worked diligently on behalf of her district's older residents. She had a tremendous interest and regard and concern about the young people and students in this district, and anyone who has ever served as Minister of Education will know what a pain Ms. Edna could be to make sure that whatever was required for her, for the students in her district, was gotten for them. Edna Marie Morrill had a tremendous zest for life and boundless energy in pursuing those causes that were most personal to her and to the people of the Cayman Islands. And her service extended beyond these shores. As a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, she represented the Cayman Islands at numerous conferences and seminars in the Caribbean, Canada, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and South Africa. But no matter how far she traveled or how long she was gone, her heart stayed right here in Northside and the Cayman Islands. Her love of country and its people were paramount, second only to her love of her 5 children, Todd, Edward, Jillian, Rebecca, and Sean, as well as her grandchildren. So this evening, it is fitting that we rename Northside Primary School to honor a great woman who gave so much of herself to the betterment of the entire country of the Cayman Islands, and in particular, her home district of Northside. I feel blessed to have known her, to have worked with her, and to count her as a friend and advisor. Thank you for joining me and the rest of the team in this historic and important moment in Northside and the Cayman Islands. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. To bring remarks on behalf of the Honorable Edna Moyles family, I invite Mrs. Moyles' son, Mr. Ed Chisholm, to the podium to bring his remarks.
Thank you, Jesse. With protocol being established, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pride that my brothers and I and sisters and I stand here today at the renaming of the Northside Primary School. Mommy attended the Northside Town Hall School and always talked about her time there and the memories of walking to and from school with her siblings and friends. Through early on in her education, she would always be convinced by her brother William, Bill to the nieces and nephews, to buck her toe on the way to school so that they could have an excuse to go back home. Mommy with the injury, Bill as the escort. She soon learned the importance of education, and by an early age, her father saw her potential, and she was sent to Knox College in Jamaica. Mommy considered her time at Knox to be one of the most influential in her life. Here, she learned not just the importance of education, but the true meaning of a rounded education. At Knox, Mommy's education ranged from table etiquette to studying various subjects to athletics, an area she excelled in and has always encouraged her children and the youth. She could always be heard lamenting that one of her children had her athletic ability. And if you look at me, you can see it's me. It's just coming there, yeah. Our mother always championed causes that were for the betterment of the people of the Cayman Islands, particularly women and children. But one of the causes that was most dear to her heart was the development of the children of Northside. Mommy knew from her own education experiences that education was vital to the continued development of the district and the island as a whole. As she instilled in us from a young age, your education is something that belongs to you. No one can take it from you. Her belief was that education allows you to be independent. It opens doors for you in any area of your life. It allows you to be successful in whatever your choice to do in life. and it allows you to grow as a person. As a mother, Mommy's goal was to ensure that she raised 5 independent children that were able to fend for themselves and had the means and ability to make meaningful contributions to society. And I think she did a great job, if I must say so. To reach this goal, she ensured that everything she and our fathers did allowed us access to every learning opportunity that came our way, whether it was being sent away to school overseas with family and friends, traveling during summer vacations, after-school clubs, extracurricular activities, and college. The list goes on and on and on. We used to joke as a family, the only thing on the road more than Mommy was asphalt. Because raising 5 children in Northside and each one having their own interests and activities equaled a lot of driving. To ensure the children of Northside had the necessary tools to be happy, healthy, safe, and successful, Mommy worked diligently on their behalf, establishing the library, the health center, the civic center, police station, and community park. Because of her experience in athletics, she knew the involvement in sports plays an important role in a young person's development by enforcing discipline, respect, and teamwork. With those beliefs in hand, Mommy worked to set up a netball and basketball in courts and completed the Old Man Bay playing field. However, this school held a special place in her heart. She knew here is where the children of Northside would receive the vital foundation they needed for their development. Here is where they would start their lives and gain the tools needed to be successful in whatever career they chose. In this school and in these teachers' hands lies the future of the Northside youth. Our mother loved this district and was always proud of the youth, which is why my brothers and sisters and I feel that such pride and gratitude in the renaming of the school. We put this challenge not just to the students and the teachers, but to the entire community, to get behind the school and to make this the best school in the 3 islands. For those of you who knew Mommy really well, she loved to read biographies of famous leaders. And one of those famous leaders was Gandhi. So I'm going to leave you with this quote: "Be the change that you want to see in the world." Thank you all very much. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Chisholm. The junior choir will now perform a medley of folk songs. another round of applause for them. I would like to invite the Minister for Education, Honorable Tara Rivers, to bring her remarks and to officially rename the school.
Thank you very much, Mistress of Ceremonies. Thank you very much, students of Northside Primary School. It is only fitting that we, as a government, not only recognize the children that Miss Edna Moyle fought so hard for during her tenure, but to actively involve them in this ceremony as a true testament of honoring her memory. So thank you. And I don't want to go into the lessons that we've learned as a result of that last song, but I think all you boys and girls got the message. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to be here today with all of you to pay tribute to the Honorable Edna M. Moyle, whose passing just over a year ago certainly came too soon. And as the Premier gave his apologies, if I do refer to her as Miss Edna, please forgive me, because that's really what I knew her as well. We have all benefited from Miss Edna's distinguished service to this nation. Many of us also are privileged to be able to follow on the trails that she blazed so fearlessly, both personally and professionally. And she has been a true inspiration to me personally in her fierce dedication to positive social change in our country. And I'd like to just share with you a comment that she made to me after the 2000 elections when I first ran. I remember her coming up to me that day. She came all the way down to Westby. And she said, "Young lady, I look forward to one day welcoming you into the halls of the Legislative Assembly." Unfortunately, she was not able to do so at this time, but I did feel her presence on the day of swearing in, because I've never forgotten her words to me and her words of encouragement, even during the last 2013 campaign. As the Honourable Premier and elected member for the District of Northside have detailed before me, she gave immeasurably to her family, to her friends, and to her local community, and to her nation. At this time, I would like to acknowledge in particular her contributions to social development, as she championed many often neglected but critically important causes to advance the situation of women, children, and families in the Cayman Islands. And although the Premier has outlined a number of these, I think it's important that we listen and hear them again, because without her vision and without her dedication, many of us would not be in the position that we are with respect to the services that are available to the community today. In December 2008, in her address commemorating the 50th anniversary of women's suffrage in the Cayman Islands, Mrs. Moyle stated, and I quote, "In today's world, women are increasingly being recognized as agents of change, dedicated to advancing opportunities for themselves and their families," end quote. She spoke about the change brought about by those determined Caymanian women who signed the 1948 letter and the 1957 petition for the right to vote, saying she was certain none of them would expect to be singled out and celebrated as women of courage and vision, as they, quote, were simply using their voices to change minds and attitudes in line with what they knew in their hearts was right. Each of them demonstrated the courage to pave new paths and to push past what was considered safe or appropriate in their time. In so doing, they expanded the vision that could be possible for all of us to achieve, end quote. I am sure that when she spoke those words, she did not imagine that just over 5 years later, she would be here, or we would be here today to similarly acknowledge her own courage and vision. Like many other great people throughout history, Miss Edna was humble in her convictions and worked not for recognition or praise from others, but for the betterment of our society and to improve the lives of all people. In fact, she accepted the OBE in 2009 for her contributions to politics in the Cayman Islands on behalf of the people, saying she would always be involved in the welfare of women, youth, and children. Even beyond politics, I believe we can learn from Ms. Edna's example. In strengthening the social fabric of our society, she and other pioneers understood that we must build on our success while also remaining committed to equality and justice. Though many around her may not have recognized the critical role of human services and of our common responsibility to make these islands a better place for all of us to live, she consistently sought to protect the most vulnerable and become a voice of the voiceless in order to ensure a strong foundation that would continue to support a productive, resilient, and peaceful population and a world-class economy. Over nearly 17 years as a member of the Legislative Assembly, Ms. Edna used her position as a representative of the people of Northside to advocate for the women, children, elderly, and families of this nation. She brought motions to establish an Office of Women's Affairs and a separate police unit for family-related matters. She also seconded a motion to establish a safe house for female victims of domestic abuse and their children. Today, the Gender Affairs Unit, the Family Resource Center, formerly the Women's Resource Center, the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, and the RCIPS Family Support Unit were all born from her vision and actions as a member of the Legislative Assembly. She was also a guiding force in supporting the development of the national policy on gender equity and equality during her time as Minister of Community Development, Sports, Women's Affairs, Youth, and Culture. She also called for employers to compensate men and women equally. The elimination of discrimination against female civil servants in matters such as maternity leave, the collection of sex disaggregated data to better understand and respond to gender issues, the introduction of sex education in the secondary school curriculum, more appropriate sentences for violent crimes against women, a new approach to youth justice, and recognition of domestic violence as a national problem that requires everyone's attention, condemnation, and action. In championing these causes, Ms. Edna brought to the hallowed halls of the Legislative Assembly not only her unforgettable, vibrant flair as a strong Caymanian woman, but she brought an important voice that is often missing in parliaments around the world, and at the highest levels of decision-making, she brought a female voice that was rich with her own life experiences, opinions, and perspectives. She was a voice for children, a voice for women, a voice for the elderly, a voice for families, a voice for positive social change, a voice for equity and justice, and a voice that implored us to value all of our diverse contributions to these islands and to do and be better. Ms. Edna was also a strong and fierce advocate, I am told, for bringing the high school to the District of Northside, which we have today in the form of the Clifton Hunter High School. And it is only fitting that her memorial service was held in those halls. It is therefore most appropriate, no, necessary, that we honor Ms. Edna and ensure that our children and their children and all those who come after us are also fortunate enough to learn of her achievements by dedicating this institution to her memory. We hope that the renaming of this school will not only serve as a constant reminder of Ms. Edna's impressive contributions to her district and the Cayman Islands, but it will also reinvigorate the school to be a vibrant part of the community that is reflective of the passion Miss Edna displayed in her life for education and lifelong learning, her passion for children, her family, and her beloved district of Northside. Additionally, we trust that the family and friends of the late Miss Edna Moyle will develop a very special relationship with this institution that will serve to keep her memory vibrant for many generations to come. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all persons, those in the public eye and those behind the scenes, who made this event possible, for all of her contributions as well. I hereby declare this school the Edna M. Moyle Primary School.
Thank you, Ms. Rivers. I would like to invite PTA Vice President Mrs. Carol Sons to bring the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, everybody, for attending this very special moment in the school. We would like to give thanks for making this event possible. The management and organization of the event, the Ministry of Education, and the Department of Education Services. Graphical work, including the new signage and logo, Ms. Martha Connolly from GIS. Facilities, Mr. David Bodden and Mr. Bunyan Whitaker. Assisting with preparations for this event, Public Works Department and J&J Enterprises. Use of plans for decor, Agriculture Department. Production of signs and installation, Vision Marketing. Granite for the plaque, Paramount. Engraving of plaque, Quick Images, and Georgetown Craft. Event rentals and decor, AI Rentals. Catering and drinks, Kurt's Corner and Barnes Bartender Service. The staff and students of the Edna M. Moyle Primary School, and the school's PTA. Thank you and welcome again.
Before we move to the unveiling, I would like to say a special thank you to Ms. Kimberly Kirkconnell in the ministry, who has worked effortlessly and tirelessly to put everything together. We will now move on to the unveiling of the new school and sign at the outside of the school. We will be stopping traffic, so we need to move quickly, and we need to go together. And then once we have completed that, I invite you to partake of refreshments in the tent to your right. And I also invite you to tour our corridors to enjoy our students' work that's on display there as well. I would now like to invite the Premier, Deputy Premier, Cabinet Ministers, members of the Legislative Assembly, the Moyle family, Mrs. Rodriguez, Mrs. Waller, and the PTA Chair to please join me as we make our way to the sign at the front of the school for the unveiling, and everyone is welcome to follow and witness the unveiling.
1, 2, 3. Go.
Yeah.